Hello, everyone, from here in the press room in Manila. And what an absolute day we have had here at the 2023 FIBA World Cup. It has been utterly insane, I think it's safe to say. I'm here surrounded by quite a few journalists who are still working, so I won't be shouting, but I don't really shout anyway. And it's wild, it's wild. Like, obviously, we're going to discuss the games that I saw in person, Montenegro, USA, and Greece, Lithuania. But let's go through the results first and just go through, the takes as well on these games. So the first one, we started off with an absolute belter. Second year in a row, Prosecco does it again against Serbia. 78-76, Italy get the win. That sets up a very interesting final day because of another result, which we'll get to. Germany eventually comfortable enough against Georgia, 173. Germany go through, Georgia go out. USA beat Montenegro 85-73. The real story, of course, though, being how much the USA struggled in that game. We'll get into that in a bit. Latvia, big upset over Spain, 74-69, which again set up a very interesting final day in Jakarta. Dominican Republic then lost to Puerto Rico 97-102, which means Dominican Republic versus Serbia and Puerto Rico versus Italy are both straight up elimination games. That's where I'll be in Arenetta Coliseum in 2 days' time to watch those games and bring you those two straight up elimination games from there. Slovenia got over the line against Australia 91-80. That eliminates Australia. Slovenia advanced. That means Slovenia, Germany, both sides probably will have it in their interest to rest a bit, but not too much, of course, because they want to make sure the draw suits them in the quarterfinals. Lithuania 92, Greece 67, and that's the one we were at. We're going to talk about that in a bit. And of course, Canada have just lost to Brazil. So like I said, get your questions in. I'm going to be here for about 15 minutes talking away. But we got the comments here, fire at your leisure, and I'll answer whatever you have. So let's get to the big one, which really, for me, was that Italy win. Just Serbia again, and it really just comes down to this. Pezic has not evolved with the game. In a straight-up fight, if we're talking about overall skill, overall class as coaches, Prosecco should not be beating Pezic 2 years in a row. Serbia, to me, have a clearly more talented roster, should be beating Italy. But bottom line is, Pezic has refused to evolve his game at this level. And when you've won as much as he has, that's an easy thing to do. But bottom line is, he needs to realize that the game changes. All sports change. Alex Ferguson realized that with football. People talk about Alex Ferguson, being such a long coach at Man United. Do you know why he succeeded for so long? Because he was willing to evolve what he did and when he did it. Josh Halleckman, thanks very much. And that is a great question. Latvia over Spain or Brazil over Canada? I would have been torn over this, but honestly, no, for me, it's a simple one. Canada were far, far stronger in terms of depth and in terms of probability of win. Brazil beating Canada, to me, Joshua, is a great result for them. Huge upset. And, of course, that sets up that group nicely. I'm going to get into that group in a second. Just want to finish off in Serbia and Italy first. Because, of course, Dominican Republic, I think they were caught cold by Puerto Rico. I didn't see much of the game. I'm hoping to see a bit of it later on while I'm having a couple of beers. But it set up an amazing group situation where Dominican Republic plays Serbia, Italy play Puerto Rico, winners advance, losers go home. Simple as that. So that's fantastic. But let's get to Josh's area here, which is, of course, Latvia's win over Spain and Brazil's over Canada. Latvia must have been laughing after they got that win over Spain because they were wild underdogs, of course. Heroic performance. And we're going to be going into a game against Brazil where they think they would have been hoping that Brazil had nothing to play for. Now, of course, Brazil have everything to play for because Brazil just pulled that out of the bag against Canada team, which had looked monstrous, dominant, hurting people, basketball through the first three games. And Brazil just did it. We were all sitting here in the press area waiting for that game to wrap up, kind of going, what on earth? Brazil did not read this script at all, did they? And don't get me wrong, I think one of the things that actually was helping Brazil and made them more suited to that game was they got a heck of a fight from Cote d'Ivoire, which is not something I was going to say when it happened, by the way, but they did, and that sent them through. So, I think Brazil, are a bit more fired up. They've been in elimination play a bit longer. Italy obviously is the same against Serbia. They were straight away into elimination play. And Brazil are playing like a team fighting for their lives, and that got them win over Canada. And now we got two teams fighting for their lives later on. Like I said, I will happily go back to any games I've already covered or back, just ask your questions, fire away. I will talk about anything you like for the next 15 minutes. Let's have a very, very quick look, though, at this group where I was. So USA, Montenegro, came in. I watched it mostly from the media room, not because I wasn't thinking it was going to be a contest. I didn't, but that's not why. It was so I could have Serbia on one screen, Italy, and USA on the other. So watch that there. And like first half, I'm like kind of going, everything we've said, and it's not just me. I'm just happen to be one of the few Anglophones saying it about USA's issues are true. Like they don't have a person who's ready to be a center in this style of basketball, and it showed. Like USA's 3-point efficiency was disastrous. Inside, they weren't threatening in the paint, and they were very easy to bully in the paint on the other end. They were basically relying on transition offense. Obviously, Ant came up big in the second half, all 17 of his points then. But like, let's not forget Montenegro, 600,000 people, 0.2% population of the USA. Wyoming, by the way, that's the only U.S. state with fewer people than Montenegro. And then Montenegro gave USA a big fright. Hello to Moshe Barda, who's saying hi, Big G. And most of the find out you can only message once every 30 seconds because I still haven't worked out the settings on the streams yet. So Moshe, get a question in once you're allowed, write something down, and I will definitely answer it. But yeah, like, what was going on there? But that I thought, to be honest, was going to be the second story of the day after Italy-Serbia. Italy-Serbia and USA Montenegro, neither of them top two stories of the day. Obviously, the stories of the day are what happened in Araneta. Both those results, not Araneta, actually, both those results were big, but also the two results, in Jakarta, so what? You got four headlines below anything here whatsoever. Moshe, considering Italy taking an early lead, can we really say it was surprising? I think we can, Moshe, because Italy were reeled in pretty harshly by Serbia, and Serbia went up big. And we figured, well, Italy, they've blown their gasket. That's all they're going to be able to deliver, and fair play to them. But think about it this way: Gigi Datome, this is basically his last time in basketball. This is the end of Datome, as far as we know. He's doing his, if he's going to go out in 2 days' time, or if he's going to go through, it comes down to a fight in Araneta Coliseum, the place where where the Thrill in Manila took place. Obviously, Rumble in Jungle was in DRC. Sorry about that. So what a place for one of the great fighters in basketball to have what could be his last big fight or his last big moment of glory. Let's find out. Let's see what's going to happen there. I will be, like I said, at those two games in Araneta in 2 days' time. But we have to spend Moshe's let me nice too, because we spent a bit of time talking about the game that I was mainly covering today, which was Greece-Lithuania. I somewhat cursed Greece multiple times, both last night's stream and during the game, saying I think Greece have got this. Greece-Lithuania. Any concerns due to Greek fans and friends knowing someone said they'd win? I don't think they're blaming me for once. I think they're blaming themselves. Lithuania looked like they had been bullied in that first half. It was only a 4-point lead for Greece, but everything was going the way Greece wanted. It was a slugfest. It was a fight. It was down and dirty, tight-ass basketball, and it wasn't the type of game suited to a side that wants to play a more open, expansive type of basketball, which can really, really hurt teams. And then in the second half, we got the Lithuania we were expecting. Not expecting, but looking for. And my word, they come. 25-point victory in the end. That's a 29-point turnaround in the second half. That is just a whooping. They decided they were not going to mess around. They were here to hurt Greece. They're here to leave, no doubt. I remember 2017, Kuzminskas, by the way, said, I wasn't thinking about that. I just want to win now. I'm all about the future. And good for him, Kuzminskas. For me, it was kind of going, there were so many shades of that coming into this. I figured it's going to be Greece. It's going to be Greece. And yeah, obviously, I was wildly wrong. I couldn't have been more wrong. And last year's Spanish Brown versus the Greek walk-up, I think there's a lot of similarities. I think their roles, their efficacy is great. I think the difference was essentially that Lorenzo Brown was a bit better than around the Thomas Walkup, but Lorenzo Brown had a lot more to work with on both ends, defensively and offensively, in terms of covering up for himself defensively and in terms of aiding him offensively than Thomas Walkup did with this Greece side. So Thomas said to me after the game that he plans to, if allowed, as in if called upon, play for Greece again next summer. I think, he'd be a great man to keep in that roster. I think he brings a lot. He's really, really good. And, I think he's going to really, really be a man who Greece can count on as their import player, so to speak, their naturalized player going forward. So I think definitely they should stick with Walkup. I think the character he has and the role he plays really is good. But Lithuania, tremendous performance. Josh has another question here. Hi, Josh. And give my best to all the Halleckmans, please. Are you surprised that pre-R beat DR? Waters versus Cat was great. I am surprised, mainly because of how good Dominicana had been going into this. I thought, we would see a lot, from Dominicana in terms of heart, but not as much in terms of, dominance as they had in the group phase. And when we saw that, I was thinking, listen, Puerto Rico, love you, great history in the sport, but this isn't your time. It's Dominican Republic's time. And turns out I was wrong. I was very wrong. The Dominican Republic, and thanks, Josh. The Dominican Republic's time definitely, isn't guaranteed. In Puerto Rico, with a real shot at the quarterfinals, like we've got a couple of wild ones. I'm really looking forward to Arnetta Coliseum because PR versus Italy. I don't know who wins that. Serbia versus Dominicana. I don't know who wins that. I do think we're going to see two really, really hard-fought games. But like they're the type of games where, honestly, if you told me any team in either game wins by 15 points, I'm not arguing with you. I'm saying, yeah, sure, that makes sense to me. I think you can make actual arguments in both matchups for either team to win by plus 15. That's the type of games we're facing in Arnetta. Obviously, we're going to have two games here, which I will not be at because they're dead rubbers. Greece, Montenegro. I think both cases, it's a matter of pride for Greece more than for Montenegro, and I also think Vucevic is probably going to be rested a bit more in that game if he plays at all. So for that reason, I think Greece will win. Lithuania, USA will probably play a bit better than they did the other day. I think Lithuania, it makes sense for them to not go absolutely 100% against USA. Obviously, the players will do that, but the coach will be smart enough to make sure that things aren't quite that. So I think USA will win that one. But don't beat yourself up for picking Greece. History and many, many listeners and Zvezda and Zalgiris fans. Oh, come on. And press officers do remember our jinx. Yeah, I mean, the Zvezda jinx, I will point out, was not just me. It was pretty much the whole of the podcast team on the EuroLeague Sweet 16. But especially me and Moshe. But like Zalgiris, I think that was more me, wasn't it? I think that's more my fault. But listen, I'm not beating myself over the jinxes. I'm delighted to be able to just come here and chat to you all. With the Arnetta games, I'm hoping to be doing it live, but honestly, I'm not going to make a decision until I'm in the arena on the day because the Wi-Fi isn't as good there. And if we're going to do a live show after Arnetta, I need to be able to count on the Wi-Fi. Plus, it's a lot further away from the hotel than that. So if there isn't a live show after the elimination games that day, I will do one on Monday at a reasonable hour for Europeans, and I will notify everybody of that in advance. Just if anybody has any more questions, we have 3 more minutes before I decide I'm going to pack up here and get some beers. But my general view is that the tournament came alive today. We've had some okay games, we've had some fights, but there was a moment where, and I can't say it on YouTube, where the Lithuania fans close to halftime started saying a bold word, you referee. Bold word, you referee. I can't say it on YouTube, I'm afraid. Sorry, but you know the one I mean. And don't say it in the comments; that'll get me in trouble. It's like, that to me is a case of now we've got a game. Now we've got a real game when the fans are getting that worked up and riled. That was great. Moshe, I'm on my work phone, but ask Thunder a question. Iago Zagar's feel is which lead guard is having the best tournament, and that's from who you also asked about you in the season 8 of the pod. So they're all having great tournaments, but the one I think that's impressed me the most in terms of grown madness, I'm going to say Zagar's, because the pressure that's gone on his shoulder has been immense. And that's from Lewis, by the way. Sorry, that question. Moshe, from Lewis to Moshe to me. Beautiful workaround. But yeah, so I'm going to say Zagar's because of the grown madness he's had to develop and has in his performances. The Indonesia group, wow, yeah, because like. Let's just look at the standings again, just to remind everybody. 3-1, everybody. Latvia, España, Canada, Brazil. So it's Latvia, Brazil, Spain, Canada. And I'm going to say what's best for me in terms of viewers first, and then I'm going to say what I think will happen. So for me, if I want to get the most traffic, and I've got to think a little bit commercially here, Latvia and Canada going through, because nobody in Spain looks at ball in Europe because they don't like English language content. And I'm pretty certain nobody in Brazil cares for English language content too. Latvians do, and obviously Canadians do. So I want Latvia and Canada to go through on a purely commercial level. But on a personal level, I think Latvia do it over Brazil. I think they actually will probably be more, aware of the threat and up for the threat and pretty much primed for it. Spain, Canada. Oh, if Lewis is listening right now, he is cackling, isn't he? Because Spain is my worst market in Europe for traffic. Only France is as close to being as bad as them. And obviously, I should root for Spain. I should support the European side to go through. But Canada, get the job done, please. I need this. So I'm going to say Canada. So I am saying the two sides that are better for me commercially, Latvia and Canada, both to go through. Before I wrap up, just to let you know about what's gone up on the site. So I have a column about the USA not learning yet from that Montenegro game. obviously my column from the game here. We have videos. We have so many videos. We have Steve Kerr saying how he's going to become a better coach. These are all in Egypt, becoming a better coach by being at this World Cup. We have Bobby Portis. Who else have we got from the US? We got Ant Edwards. We have Austin Reeves, who is the superstar of Manila, by the way. Like, I remember going down to get to the USA press conference, and the hordes of people with their phones high above their heads, trying to get a video of Austin in case he walked by. Thank you from a Canadian. Cheers. And trying to get a photo of Austin as he walked by. And, it was like, crazy. So Austin Newsmania is going through. From this game, we have Thomas Walkup, like I said, who wants to play for Greece, help them in the Olympic qualifiers, and hopefully the Olympics next year. We've got Jonas Valanciunas, we have Mindaugas Kuzminskas, and we have Ignas Brazekis. I'm falling apart here, folks. It's a great content. And by the way, Ignas wants to play against Canada if they get a chance to meet during the quarterfinals or semifinals. Sorry, I'm not sure where they can get in the quarters or semis. Maybe Josh knows, but whatever phase they could meet at, he would like to meet them. Is the short version. Final cue from all covered FIBA events. This is the best one we have for you. So we can go through the events I've been at quickly, to be honest. So there's 2014 World Cup, 2015 Eurobasket, 17 Eurobasket, 22 Eurobasket, and this. Only 5 been in person, unless they're counting small countries, which I will make exceptions and say obviously Ireland won. That was very special for me. But of those 5, I'm still leaning towards 2017 Eurobasket, to be honest, because we had a bit more fire for me early in the games, and then obviously it progressed really cool. So I'm leaning towards that still, because obviously the way it played out was quite amazing. 2022, by the way, Eurobasket was great. And I've not had a bad tournament yet. This is a great tournament. Like, this tournament could yet catch 2017 Eurobasket, but of the 5 we're discussing, this isn't there yet. It is definitely comfortably on course to be 2014 World Cup. Like, for all the bigness of that being my first ever event in person for a FIBA tournament, the procession to gold for the USA kind of made it a bit lame. So listen, I'm going to wrap up here. Thanks everybody who's joined, and like I said, I'll either be live after Araneta, but more likely, but again, I will make sure there's lots of tweets out in advance, and it'll more likely be Monday at a reasonable time for those of you who are in Europe and places not too far from Europe. Okie dokie. And of course, good night, Manila.